Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniX TCG, and today we are going to dive into a more competitive video, and I think this is going to be pretty uplifting to the community because I think just from playing locals, I'm graced to have a saturated area. I've been to I think 10 locals already in 2 weeks just because of my area, and so I'm starting to see some trends. Things that some people pick up, some people may not know they're picking up, some people don't understand at all. And so I thought I'd make a video because it's just gonna be good to kind of elevate the level of play that we're seeing in this game. And the subject is, as the title would suggest, magic numbers. A phrase that I kind of picked up for some homeboys when we were playing Magic, you know, like literally almost a decade ago. And lots of the card games I played, they didn't really come up, so to speak. Like they were sort of in Dragon Ball Super, but in this game, where counter power is only defensive and Dawn is only offensive, magic numbers is something I think really comes into play. And I've been hearing more and more people at my locals use it as I've been talking about it, and I am so psyched. So we're gonna hop into that, and we've got a little bit to explain. Just want to say before we get into that, if you haven't already, go in the description, check out my One Piece giveaway. We're giving away super pre-release decks. We're giving away super pre-release Dawn. We're giving away a starter super pre-release Luffy leader. We're giving away promo packs. There's a lot of free giveaways, and the submissions close on Friday. After Friday, I will be tallying up the drawings and making a video shortly after that to do the giveaway. Past that, if you want to support the channel in any way, shape, or form, you can always hit that subscribe button, like the video, share this one, comment on this one. Let me know what you think because I'm really going to be diving into a lot of info. And I think this is going to be one of the best videos I've done on One Piece since I've started making One Piece content. After that, if you want to join the discussion further, we've got a Discord, links in the description. Just go over there and yeah, join us in the fun. So with that being said, we are going to hop over to the dual view so you can see all the cards, and we're going to talk about magic numbers and how they can elevate your game. So I've got 4 leaders here, arguably the best leaders per color, and I wanted to talk about magic numbers because there's a little bit that pertains to pretty much everything. The first thing I'm going to talk about is that as of set 1, this will change in set 2, all the leaders start off with 5,000 base power, which is going to be where we start off the discussion about magic numbers. And we're going to start with Zoro, okay? One of the reasons why Zoro is so strong is that Zoro is able to actually, you know, just put himself up by 1k, and that puts everything else up by 1k, which changes the battle math. Now, the battle math is important because in most of these decks, you have, well, all these decks, you have 2 different types of counter cards when it comes to value. You have cards that counter for 1k, you can see that right there, and you have cards that are also going to counter for 2k, which is seen right here. Now, card disparity in this game is very important because you don't get the biggest amount of cards in this game. Like, you don't really build many hands, like 2 big hands outside of green, sometimes you know, purple. So you need to make what cards you have count. And when it comes to that, the main thing that you have to realize is that over countering multiple times per game will lead to a disparity that'll bite you in the butt later. And so these magic numbers are pretty much understanding how you need to set up your plays as well as set up your pushes so that you can attack and defend optimally. For instance, let's take a matchup that you're probably going to see very often. Kid versus Zoro. I don't know why I pulled it out like it was going to be the Zoro card. Versus Zoro, okay? Base 5k. If you attach this to Zoro, right, you are going to be swinging in for 6k to 5k. Because of this, and the fact that you need to not tie but break the defense, you need to come up with a minimum of 2k to block this. Now, that being said, you can do that in one of 2 ways. You can block with 2 cards that have a 1k combo value or counter value, or you can block with 1 card that has a 2k. Now, the 2ks are going to be very much so more vaunted, more valuable. There's less of them in your deck. However, blocking with 2 2ks or 2 1ks means that you're getting rid of 2 cards, and chances are they have effects outside of being just a counter card. And that becomes, again, disparity. If you're dropping 2 cards to Zoro, how many times can you do that before you're out of a hand? So that's where coming in with these 2Ks are very important. You drop 1 card, and you already know that that's going to be what they come out of. Now, when it comes to forcing your opponent's hand, there are other things that you need to actually take into accommodation. If your opponent has 3 cards, for instance, you have to think, yes, some of them could be dead. This same attack, you attach 1, you're thinking about how hard you should attack at Eustace Kid. Some of these cards could be cards that don't have a counter value, like that one. Some of them could be cards like this, where, it's an event card, but if they have 1 energy open, you can go up 2k. Some of them can be 2ks like this, and some of them can be 1ks like this. So this is the math you always need to understand. If somebody has 3 cards in hand, the maximum, and of course, like no energy open, because once we get into event cards, these are things that change up the math. When we swing at a 3-card hand, right? If there's an event card, there's an event card. You can't account for that. You don't know how many your opponent runs, and if they have the open energy, it could be due to them having an event card. It could be due to them bluffing. It could be them not having anything to utilize it with. So it really depends. However, when you don't have an event card, if it's a 3-card hand, you should know that the maximum value somebody could have is 6,000. All right, that's 3 2Ks. It could be 3 cards they can't counter with. It could be 0. It could be a 1K and a 2K. It could be 2 1Ks. There's a lot of math, but the maximum value they can have is 6K. So if you're swinging a 3-card hand and they have no life, or you want the damage to go through, you need to understand that if the maximum is 6K, you do need to swing for a grand total of 11, which will be adding 5 more Dawn to this guy, okay? And just let me know if that makes sense, but you add 5 Dawn to this guy, you're a total of 11. You swing, even if those 3 cards are all 3Ks, or a 3K, all 2Ks, or a 2K, a 2K, and a Paradise Waterfall, you are guaranteed to get that damage through. The only way you are not going to get that damage through, if you're swinging to a leader, they don't have blockers, and they have 3 cards in hand, you have 6K, is really if you were hitting into an event card like Punk Gibson. So that's the kind of math that is necessary. And that's what I mean basically by magic numbers. Understanding the combo value and realizing what you need to do to overcome it. And I say combo because I'm a Dragon Ball player, but counter value. In the same vein, if they have 3 cards in hand, right, you can start pulling. Maybe they only have 1 life, maybe they have 2 life. You can start strategically hitting them in places that are going to hit momentum, all right? If they have 3 cards in hand and you swing with 6K, not very, very valuable, because they could have a 2K or a Paradise Waterfall and block you for 1 card. 1 card for 1 swing. That's not very advantageous. You boost it up like this, 7K, which is one of the best numbers to swing on a leader with, and they have to drop 2 cards minimum. They have to drop 2 2Ks, a combination like this, or a combination like this in order to stop you. And 1 swing for 2 cards in hand is a very good place to be in. But you don't want to go up to 8, for instance, because if you go up to 8, which is what I'm going to consider overdawning on the swing, the same 2-card combination, that's not going to work. The glare is going to be too big. I'm sorry. The same 2-card combination is going to block you. The same 8 or 9K they had to get up to break your 7K is going to be the same exact play that they do to break your 8K. And if you're putting up to 9K on a non-crucial swing, that's half your turn right there. So 7K is the sweet spot. 8K is a little over unless there's specific situations, because you're going to be blocked by the same exact things. 7K, 9K is what it is. Now that concept is over, every single deck has a variety of kind of magic things, okay? You know that with Zoro, you're always swinging for 6 with your leader unless necessary, meaning that your leader is going to pull a card from hand each time. Potentially 2 if they don't have events and they don't have 2Ks and they need to block. So that's actually something that's very, very important. You can swing 6K for most of the game, but later in the game, when they have a bigger hand, you might want to swing for 7K to push the advantage, get them closer to death's door. When you're going in with your Namis, right? Namis start off at 2K. You have a Dawn underneath Zoro, they're 3Ks. So attaching 2 Dawn makes it a neutral with leader, meaning that you're going to have to draw out 1 card. And this is nice. Normally, swinging neutral kind of sucks because you don't want to chip with 1 card. But if you have extra Dawn that you don't need to use, chipping with 1 card, chipping 1 card out of their hand with a 1-drop, very, very cash money. When it comes to Sanji, he is a card that's very interesting. He's going to take a life, right? He's going to go up on 2K, making him a 5K base. He can then put 2 rested Dawn underneath him, making him a 7K base. Zoro with a Dawn underneath him is going to make him an 8K base. But we already just talked about this. 8K is very dangerous because you're essentially going to over combo a little bit. And granted, 8K is 8K. He's going to swing heavy. But if you're going in with 8K, you might want to either put an extra Dawn on him if you're using like the tap or the 1-drop Nami, because 9K is a better sweet spot. If you swing for 9K, it's almost assuredly going through, or they're dropping minimum 3 cards in hand unless they have an event card to stop it. So that is one thing you have to understand. 8K is neat, but 8K is essentially pulling the exact same that 7K is. It just is. VVs, you know, the 2-drop vanillas, they're going to go up to 5K when you have a Dawn in here, so they're just neutral swings. Neutral swings for 2 is very, very good. That's nice. Zoro, same exact method as this guy. He's going to swing for the exact same value, so you pretty much can consider them the exact same. Now you got your Luffy, and Luffy is going to be able to swing for 7K, making him instantaneously the sweet spot upon swing. So you can see that most of this deck, you're going to be adding about maybe 1 Dawn, because if you're swinging with Zoro like this, 1 Dawn investment, he's at the sweet spot. 2 Dawn investment, he's at the sweet spot. No Dawn investment, Luffy is at the sweet spot. And that's what you kind of need to work on. Moving over to Kid, right? Kid is very, very, very special because Kid is able to pressure you in a lot of ways that people just don't like being pressured, to be honest. And that's going to really, really upset the state of the game. Once you're rolling and you start dealing with their board, because that's what Kid is meant to do, deal with board, chip down, and then once you're at 2 life or 1 life, once your opponent's at 1 life, Kid is almost God. So rolling with Kid, the fact that 5 energy is going to either do 2 damage to your opponent or force mad cards out of their hand. Like I said, 7K is a 2-card minimum investment unless they have an event. So swinging for 7K, tapping 3 to trash, swinging for 7K, absolute perfect numbers. Couple that with the fact that 5 energy or 5 Dawn is more than enough to play a Law. It's more than enough to play a blocker. It's more than enough to, you know, put under Okiku and play a Nekomamushi and then swing with Okiku on something, tap something else. There is a lot you can do with 5 left over. So this is where you want to be. This is value city. But Kid has a couple of magic numbers of his own. You need to understand that when you're playing like this, right, and you have like this as backup, if you want to make a valid swing that doesn't make you feel like you just minused, you need to come at them with no less than 9K if you're trying to break a Kid block. Like if the setup is this, it's really rough for you because you need to come with a minimum of 9K. Because if you come with, well, I mean, I guess 8K still works. Technically 8K still works, but you got to be careful with that. Because if you swing at 8K into a Kid, I'm likely just going to chump you for 1K. I will put a 1K combo power and call it a day. But if you come over with 8K and I decide to block it, more times than not, I can block you for 6, Paradise Waterfall up to 8, and then drop a second card. Now you're in the same exact position, except you've definitely gone down on Dawn if you were able to attack me with a 9K, unless you're Kaido. So this becomes a matter of like an issue. Red can get by it. Red's able to hit you with the Otama and Jet Pistol for game. That's fine. But most other decks, you're gonna have to really come through with this math. In most cases with Kid, when I go into Kid, because I know it's the weakest turn of the game, I like having a single blocker out. I'd rather have Law, but either one is interchangeable. And then as backup with the 1 energy, I prefer to have a Paradise Waterfall so that I can block with Law for 8K and then open him back up with 1 combo. But if you swing at Kid, The issue is that you need to normally swing at a minimum of 12K. If you know you're going to be able to swing at kid, you need to swing at a minimum of 12K, because that's either going to be 1, 2, and then I still have to come out with another card in hand, or that's gonna have to be 3 2Ks. Either way, you need to drain that hand. Once the hand is gone, it's very hard to protect kid. But when the hand is thick, this is easy. You can't come at him with 9, I'll chump it. You can't come at him with 10, I'll still chump it. I'll chump it in a bunch of ways. You come at me with 11, it's still the exact same math. Like I said, 11 might as well be 9, because I will block it the exact same way. I'm sorry, 11 might as well be 10. That's what I meant to say, because I'll block it the same way. Something I've been trying to teach my locals is that when I have this setup, right, and 1 energy, and then people come out with the Luffy, it's almost my favorite thing to happen, because you come with the Luffy, and the most you can do on your end is attach a Dawn underneath Zoro. Spend 5 more Dawn to play Luffy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that leaves you with the ability to literally attach 4 Dawn under Luffy, making him a 10K, having him swing in with 11K. In which case, you don't even get the block. You just get the up to 10, up to 12. Are you done? Leaving this completely vulnerable to the impending attach 1 Dawn, swing at your Luffy. You're not going up to 10K to protect that in a red deck that late in the game. It's just not happening. So you have a lot of good numbers in this deck, but just understand that if you're not swinging at kid for at least 12K, they are blocking you almost effortlessly unless they have no hand. In which they have no hand, I don't know what they were doing in the first place, because that they probably should have scooped that. I mean, it's best of 1, so you might as well play to play. But yeah, if you're swinging into a hand with a kid, it needs to be a minimum of 12K. If you're swinging and you know you need to clear a law blocker, you need to hit for 9K, so the least they're going to drop 2 cards in hand minimum. Anything else may be kind of an overcommitment. But you see what I'm starting to get at? Every deck has its set of numbers that are really good. Now, Kaido is a bit of an anomaly. I won't even front on that one. And that is because Kaido, for the exchange of needing to ramp, for the exchange of minusing your Dawn, for the exchange of being out at a slower deck, your cards all hit these numbers. And it is not even hard. Of course, Kaido being a leader, like, you put 2 Dawn underneath him, he's there, all right? But look at all of Kaido's boss cards. That's 7K, that's the sweet spot. That's 7K, that's the sweet spot. That's 9K. You're not out comboing that too many times. That takes a minimum of 3 cards to do. 2 2Ks and another 2 2Ks and another 1K or 2K. This guy, he's even bigger. That just sucks. This guy, I'm sorry, he's blocked or he's a free damage. So Kaido is able to come at a lot of stuff. Now the funny thing about Kaido is, notice all these cards don't have counter values, meaning that Kaido has to saturate itself with blockers, which are weak to destruction, and Luffy can slide under, and Kid can tap, or you will have to saturate, and you'll have to and you'll saturate yourself with 2Ks. Because Kaido needs to be able to defend itself, and it also has its extra cards like Thunder Bagua and Blast Breath. That being said, Kaido is able to hit these numbers. These are almost all unblockable. This is draining a hand, this is draining a hand, unblockable, unblockable, unblockable with counters. You will lose your hand quick trying to trade value for Kaido's swings. On top of that, because of that, in the same light, these things are hard to get rid of. You can maybe get rid of a king pretty easily. You can swing on it with 5K or with 2 additional 1,000. Like, you can swing on these for 9s and you might get it off. Like, they'll have to drop multiple cards in hand. Sometimes they just don't have a lot of counter power. But once you get to these, yeah, man, you're gonna have to have an they have to be on a bad day for you to clear these. Swinging at a Luffy, having a Luffy being played, because I'm gonna put this out there, if they play this card, they can blow up. Like, this is blowing up something with 6 or less. You can blow up Luffy. You can blow up something else and swing into Luffy, and you're not protecting it. You're not putting 5K counter on Luffy. So to play a Luffy in 1 turn, and then attach 4 Dawn to him to put him up to 10k, and then swing, maybe make him 11, only for your opponent to be like 1, 2. You just used your entire turn to get blocked by 2 cards. It is rough, or even 1 with a Blast Breath. So Kaido has the ability to put these pretty much cards on the board that ignore magical numbers, because simply we just are not at a point in the game where we get that high. Like the answer, can we get much higher? No, we actually can't. This is not the theme song. If Kaido starts building a board, you are not swinging on these. You are trying to kill them before they kill you. And that is why Kaido is kind of the anomaly to this. And then by saturating your deck with blockers and 2k counters, you're going to get to a point where you're not only putting up these guys, you're threatening game, your opponent can't deal with your board, and you essentially are putting them on a clock while they scramble to survive. So Kaido is the man who says, screw numbers, I have fat beat sticks. And then we're going to move on to Dofi. Dofi is actually in the same kind of realm. So Dofi, by nature, his ability needs you to put 2 Dawn underneath him. And when you put 2 Dawn underneath him, he's going to swing for 7k. So just to activate his ability, he's going to put himself in that realm of Magic 7. That just, you need to drop 2 cards from hand or take this damage. Now past that though, he's going to do a couple of things. Whether you're playing Croc or Dofi, if you play the Pacifista engine, this guy is very, very strong because he's a 6k and he's going to threaten the same amount. He's going to swing like Zoro levels. So you're going to have to drop a 2k or drop 2 1ks or use an event. Or if you want to pipe it up, you can put a Dawn underneath them and swing for that magical 7k again, which is the draining number. Now, the other things that you can kind of get under there is that the boss cards in this deck are fat. You have a 7k and you have a 9k. And once again, because blue is blue, you're gonna have cards that you have a fair amount of event cards that are very, very defensive and disrupt your opponent's board. So when you swing on Mihawk, you can't swing for 10. And like I said, that's when these things start getting to 8k, 9k, that's when it gets really, really rough to start dealing damage. Blue has a lot of blockers, but even if you get through the blockers, you swing on Mihawk for 10k, it only takes 1 2k to get around that. And you don't ever want to invest 10k power onto a swing to get it blocked by 1 card. That automatically means you need to put it up at, unfortunately, what, 10, 11, you need to put it up at 12k, because at this point, if you actually, in 12k is almost at disadvantage, it's almost just as bad as well, because they can go here and that blocks up to 11k, so that blocks 10k. Another one blocks 12k. 2 cards and they can block a 12k swing because they are now at 13. That is rough. And look, if you can get a card at 13, so help me, but that's your entire turn. Like, you're playing a blocker after that. Like, you're not doing anything. And if they have an established board, that's even rough. So when you have, or more rough. So when you have Mihawk and Dofi, Dofi's a little more easy to handle because you can hit him for a 9 and, you know, they have to drop the same 2 cards, but it's easier to get to 9 and still have a turn around it than it is to get up to 13 or 12 and still have a turn around it. So right now, blue's kind of at a weird space where it just can get overrun by, red. It can have a weird game versus green. It really depends on how green is able to go in the early game tempo. And then if purple gets established, blue doesn't really have a chance right now. So blue's in the worst off spot for all these colors, but even blue has magic numbers. Like, when you get to these boss monsters, they are incredibly hard to clear unless you are playing Kaido. So just food for thought. But with that being said, I hope everybody learned something about countering, over countering, under countering, and understanding certain situations. And more of them will arise. As you play more and you start to see like the matrix, like the code of the game, you're gonna start seeing these numbers where you're like, 2 cards in hand, the most you could have is, like 2 cards in hand tapped out, most you can have is 4k. That means I need to swing for 9k. And at 9k, you either take it or you just take it, because you can't come up with more than 9k on a 2-card hand tapped out. And these are things that are very, very important. You can make these precise strikes to make the most out of your Dawn and minimize them, like a value of their hand to the highest capability. So I hope you guys like this video. It's a little bit of a longer one, but I think it was educational. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of this one, and I will see you guys in the next video.